Well, hello, hello, hello. You are listening to the No Brainers Empowering Possibilities Show. These are dialogues of encouragement with fresh perspectives, invitations to ahas, a little bit of science, a dash of behavioral psychology, easy skills that you can try today, and a whole lot of creative fun. So if leveling up is on your radar, my friend, you are at the right show. I'm your host, Roseanne Marsh. I'm the author of the teen and parent empowerment curriculum called Level Up. And you are listening to episode number 44, Choose Your Lens. My dad passed away about 3 months ago. And as we were cleaning out his room, his office, his shelves were lined with all sorts of cameras of all different genres, anywhere from old-fashioned little wind ones that you would show a film strip on the wall, all the way to these amazing cameras. That was his profession. He photographed and was part of the photographic department up at Utah State University. And one of the things he loved was to keep his cameras. But what I was fascinated by was all the different kinds of lenses he had. Ones that he could change to look long distance or short distance. There were even some that had some colored lenses on them. And then there's the apertures that were in the lens that could decide how much light would come in or how much darkness would be kept out. Bottom line was the lens was really important because it defined what the viewer would see when that photograph was snapped and that photograph was printed. So those lenses were meant to create different effects. And when you saw the photograph, depending on what lens was used, you could pretty much determine what effect the photographer wanted you to focus on. Now, I just got back from Las Vegas and was at an exciting concert, and it was fortuitous because I get to be on the front seat and just be engulfed with all the music and the performers and the lights and the sights and the sounds, all the sensory things that go into an amazing concert. But while I was there at the concert, my eye kept going to what was being shown on the different screens. There were 2 ginormous screens on either side of the stage. And then on the stage, there were 3 tall different screens. And so at any given time, you were being given either simultaneously the same view or different views of the performers that were on stage. Now, I was looking for the cameramen, and they were dressed in black and almost invisible to anyone who really wasn't searching them out. But they were close to the guitarist and the keyboarder and the drummer, or they were down in the front on the stage pointing up to the performers. And then someone was on a mixer board, the producer, the person who wanted to determine what we would see at any given time was in the back mixing which camera would go live on which screen. So no matter where you sat in the concert, you were experiencing the same graphics as someone that was in the very back. But that person on the mixer board was carefully crafting what we would see and what we would experience right when the music was doing a certain thing. So the sense of sight is powerful. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And a picture can be interpreted 1,000 different ways, depending on the viewer. So you add to that the audio and the kinesthetic, and a complete sensory story is how we come forth with an interpretation. Now, those of you who have listened to past episodes have heard the story I've shared about stinky fish, that I was on a beach and we were so excited to spend some time there that day. And it was a fall and there was the mountains in the background on this reservoir. You could see the fall leaves. You could see snow on the mountains. But then off to the right was this eroding, deteriorating, stinky, dead fish, right where we wanted to put our chairs. I remember thinking, oh man, here's this beautiful beach, a little bit cool, but we're here to enjoy the day. And we got a stinky fish here. And we had a choice at that moment. We could focus on the stinky fish, or we could raise our view and see the vista of the mountain. And life is that way too. We have a lens. We decide what we will focus on. Is it going to be the vista? Is it going to be the mountains? Or is it going to be the stinky fish? And there are different stinky fish. Sometimes we focus on things that have happened in the past. And when we focus there on those hard things, it can create a state of depression. Or if we focus on the anxiety of the future, we can create an anxiety over things that haven't even happened. So we determined where our lens is and what we will focus on. So we choose to see what we want. We focus on what we want to see, and what we focus on grows. Where we spend our energy is what we magnify in our life, and we become what we focus on. Our thoughts, our emotions, our reactions to life are highly influenced by what we choose to see. So how do we know what we need to change, if our lens needs to change or refocus? Well, if life is beating us up, if life is eating us up, if we're focusing on things that we don't have control over, or if we're unhappy and miserable, or if stress and anxiety and depression are consuming our waking hours, then we may have to decide that maybe I need to change my lens. Because realizing that life has the yin and the yang, life has the stinky fish, life has the mountains, the vistas, and we can choose to focus our lens on those things that we want. So what are the advantages of managing your lens of life, or looking on the bright side or the optimistic side, or just diverting from those stinky fish? We start to recognize the positive aspects of life. We become more optimistic and positive. Well, we experience less stress and anxiety. And there's a health benefits, right? Less cortisol, less adrenal fatigue, less things that deteriorate our body. And we're able to be more creative in how we problem solve. I love that one. And we're able to cope in tough times. We can derive more satisfaction from our life, even in tough times, because we can cope. And then we can learn from those experiences that we've had. We're also able to keep our emotions in check better when we're looking at different or brighter sides of life. When we choose our lens, not only are we choosing what we see, but we are creating our reality. Someone once asked me, well, isn't it better to be realistic than optimistic? And it's good to be realistic when we're setting goals and expectations. In fact, if you haven't listened to episode number 39, Living a Life Without Expectations, you may find some really good takeaways there. But we are literally the creators of our reality. So two people can experience the same thing in the same room and have a totally different experience based on their life experiences and their thought process. So what you may call reality may not be the reality of someone else. So does it hurt to be optimistic? And I'm not talking about being Pollyanna. That's a different, where everything is roses, right? Not rose-colored glasses. But I would say that there are benefits from carefully choosing where you will focus your lens. So thoughts can be changed. Experiences can be learned from and healed. Perspective and learning can be expanded when we live in the present and in the here and now. You know, it's almost like we spit polished the lens and said, okay, let's start all over. Let's choose where we want to focus. And if you had a genie wand today, if I said, hey, what kind of life do you want? And obviously we have to take into consideration our talents, etc. That's being realistic. But how would you like life to look? We're creators. So where do we want to look and what do we want to create? So how do we even change our lenses? I have 6 ways today that I want to help us focus more on optimistically using our lens. Because optimism and pessimism, the way we see things and experience things, are a mindset. They are a choice, and it's a way of thinking and seeing things. And an optimist sees the positive side of things, They expect things to turn out well, and they believe that they have the skills and the abilities to make good things happen. And that pessimist, well, they see the stinky fish and they find them. I had that experience growing up that I was terrified of snakes. So everywhere I went, I was looking for them. And guess what? I found them. Oh my gosh, we would go down the canyon canals on inner tubes. Maybe some of you have done that before in the cold, icy water. And we would bump up against the banks as we're going the 20, 25 minutes that it took to be able to get down the canyon, and then somebody would come and get us. But I saw snakes all the time. They'd be sunning on the rocks, and I was in intense fear the entire 25 minutes. And guess what? Everybody else was looking at the wildflowers and having an amazing time. And I was stressed out by these slithering reptiles that were all over the place. So who enjoyed the ride more? Well, it certainly wasn't me, right? But that was my lens that I was looking through. I was looking through fear. So think about, what are some of the lenses you have right now that do not serve you? And if you were able to change that lens, how would your life change? So here are 6 things that you can do to help change your lens. The first one, let's begin the day in gratitude. We can wake up any way we choose to. But the first thing to do is to put a smile on our face, engage those muscles in our face. And that really signals our body like, hey, this is going to be a good day. And then continue. Number 2 would be carry that gratitude into your day by looking at the good you have in your life and the beauty. Whatever you're doing or wherever you are, we should be thinking, what can I see or what am I experiencing right now that I can be grateful for? Those stinky fish are going to be there. But when we tell our brain to focus on blessings and benefits, it actually goes out there and finds them for us. If we tell our brain, okay, we're focusing on what is good in life, we are going to see it. It's almost as if we have this automatic lens that starts focusing in on things and helping us find it. So the first one was beginning gratitude, smile before you even get out of bed, and then continue asking yourself, what am I seeing right now I could be grateful for? The third is manage your thoughts. Man, the battle is won or lost in our mind. When we can learn to control our thoughts, we control our life. So catch early those thoughts that can create a spiral in us, judgment, or literally put us in a bad mood. So go into gratitude or laugh, things that change the way that we view life. If we're having one of those bad thoughts, spiraling thoughts, things that don't serve us, then we can exercise, we could laugh, we could sing, we could move. Movement really changes how we think. We could listen to a motivational video clip, but whatever we do, we need to change our mood because there is an extreme power in positive thinking. I had another experience at the airport just yesterday. I was running to catch the bus to get to long-term parking. And they had those ropes set up where long lines can queue up to be able to get on the bus. Well, nobody was in those ropes and the bus was just about to pull off. So we ducked under the ropes, got right to the front door of the bus. And he said, sorry, full. And it closed. Well, we looked to the back of the bus and there were 3 or 4 other men that had tried to get on, but the doors had closed on them too. So here we were, about 6 of us trying to get on the bus, had failed. And we started to laugh. And we were like, that is so funny. We all rushed so fast, but weren't able to get in. But behind us came a man. And he said, well, I guess you guys think you're really funny. How rude. You ran right in front of me and I lost the bus because of you. And in my mind, I'm thinking, there's no way. Because I didn't even see you in the ropes, number 1. And number 2, I was pretty fast and I didn't make it. So if you were just barely going into the ropes, there's no way you could make it. And of course, I didn't say anything to anybody. But we politely said, well, please, we're sorry. We didn't see you, but you can be the first in line for the next bus. And to that, he replied, oh, so now you're patronizing me. Stop patronizing me. I mean, he was visibly shaken and upset with us. So we can see that his lens was not the lens that we had seen in this situation. So to diffuse the situation, I just turned to my friend and we continued our conversation. But as the next bus came up, he was the first on, but as he got on the bus, his phone dropped out of his pocket onto the ground and we picked it up. And I said, "Sir, excuse me, sir." He would not even turn around. And once he got in, we said, "Hey, your phone fell out of your pocket." And without a word of gratitude, he snatched the phone and he diverted his glance. So we squirted to the other side of the bus. We were like, we're going to get away from his annoyance. But we have to challenge our negative thoughts. We need to reset our lens. I can't even imagine what the rest of his day was like just because of the response he had in what could have been a funny scenario. And he could have joined in the laugh with us. So number one is beginning gratitude, then continuing gratitude, manage your thoughts. And then the fourth one is choose who you spend your time with. The company you keep is who you become. But that company can also be the company you keep on the internet, who you're following on the internet, the social feeds, etc. Wherever your time is, whenever you're exposed to people, whatever their influence is going to influence who you are and the perspective of the lens that you take. So are there times when you need to distance yourself from others? I have a friend who said she just loves her friend, but every time she's with her, she's just always talking about all the negative of everyone and what's not going right and complains all the time. She's hyper-focused on being a victim to everything in her life. And she said, you know what? I almost can't stand it anymore, because even when I try to lovingly nudge her towards thinking something different, it's just this big complaint session. And she said, it's draining. I can't be with her anymore. So it's a choice where we decide to focus. And this person was choosing to focus on all the stinky fish in her life. So do the people we hang out with bring us up? Do they help us become a better person? Do they support our goals and our dreams? Do they drag us down? Do they divert your lens to the negative instead of the positive? And that's hard when it's a member of your family, right? Or a good friend. So we need to be strategic about how much time we need to spend with them. Optimism is contagious. We can do our best to be supportive, and then we can help those that are hyper-focused on an area that's a little more difficult in life. But I want to give you the science piece here. Are you ready for that? Drama and trauma and dwelling on the past is not just in our thoughts and our beliefs and our subconscious. It's in our neurology, and it's in the hormonal chemical cocktail of our body. And if you've heard it in the past podcasts, I've spoken about how the body gets habituated to that chemical cocktail that goes along with an emotion. And when we're into the drama and the trauma, there's actually an endorphin hit that happens when we revisit that. And our body becomes so habituated to that it's like, we haven't had that endorphin or that cocktail for a while. I think I'm going to bring that up in the body. And when we bring that up in the body, then the emotion follows. So there's an addiction that the body has, and the body now has become the predictor, the mind. So not only are we trying to change our thoughts, we're trying to change our biochemistry that's addicted on a clock. Is that crazy? We have to want to change. We have to consciously divert and refocus, retrain, remind, and be diligent about creating that new lens so that the mind and the body can create a new pathway, a new lens. So number 5, keep a journal. Now, for those of you who don't like to write, I'm going to invite you to maybe tiptoe into it and have some fun with it, because what did you learn today? What were the blessings? What were the ahas, the good, the progress? What lens were you looking through today? Are you resilient? So as we document our days, we give our brain, it's like we have a little book report that we can return and report. And we give that special time to our brain. And then we give ourselves grace when we could have maybe done something differently. It can't be a beat up session. It's like, okay, this is where I was. This is what I did. This is what was amazing. This is what I saw. And tomorrow it's a new day and progress is incremental. And I think tomorrow I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to try, and I might fail, and failure is optional. It's part of it. It's part of the learning. So any of us that thought we were supposed to come down here and be perfect, that's a tall order to live by. We're here to learn. We're in the classroom. We're in the lab. And part of the lab is let's try, let's learn. And putting on a new lens is an amazing way to change our lives. So number 6 is, and the last one that I'm going to throw out today, is donate our time and energy to helping others. There's no greater win-win than reaching out to others that need our help. Being interested in other people takes the focus off our own struggles. And then we have to actually come to the aid of someone else. And not to mention the endorphins or those feel-goods that happen when we serve, when we aid, even when we just listen to someone who needs an ear, or just show a little bit of kindness. Even when they're mad at us for butting in line in front of them and grumpy about taking out their phone. It's all about us thinking about others, which takes away from some of the hurt and sting of life. So begin your day in gratitude, smile, use those muscles to tell your body that, hey, it's joyous time. We just woke up. We made it through the night. Second, carry the gratitude into your day and notice those things that you could be grateful for. Manage your thoughts. Challenge those negative thoughts and then do something to change it. Choose who you spend your time with is number 4. Keep a journal. Document your focus. It's a learning progress. And then donate time and energy in helping others. If you're actively working to recognize the positive aspects of life, you're going to naturally start seeing that there are silver linings in these challenging situations that we go through. There's health benefits to being optimistic, to having positive thinking. It reduces stress, and we can cope better in these difficult and stressful times. Optimistic people recognize they can make the best of any situation because they know that anything is possible with a positive attitude and hard work. Optimistic people are more satisfied with their lives, and when they're going through difficult situations, they have a better chance of coming out on the other side with a healthier perspective of life. Now, there's a second level to choosing your lens, and next week I want to level up on this concept. But we're creators, and I invite you this week to strap on a new lens and look at life from the perspective that you want to create. Guys, thanks for joining this week. We'll see you next week. Tally ho.